right, I am back with another mini discussion. This thought just came to mind a little bit ago. I want to add some disclaimers, as I always do, okay? There's exceptions to every rule. Take everything with a grain of salt. Not everything is relevant to us in our journey. It's okay to have a different view and an opinion. So essentially, this is for those who resonate with what I'm saying, okay? If they're so afraid of hell, then have you ever wondered, when you hear people talk about those types of things with strong conviction, but the lives that they live outside of their list of rules and regulations, or whatever it is that suits their fancy, that makes them feel like they are somehow, in some way, shape, or form, gonna escape a perceived hell. Hey, somebody said hello, Bloom. Hey, love and light. What you doing? How you doing? How you doing? I want to bring up the topic for any of you that if you feel comfortable to play with the whole idea of it. Because have you ever wondered why these very same types of individuals really could care less? Hello, whoever else came in said hello, hey. Somebody says I'm awesome, good, right? Why they have a tendency, for those that are close enough to their lives anyway, because you have to be close enough to an individual's life to actually know the real truth about who they are and what they are really about and what they do outside of whatever they portray to the world. But have you ever wondered why these very same people that often are notorious for quoting something to do with what I just said, if they're so afraid of hell, how come they lack any real conviction about their conduct towards other humans? Ooh. How come there is no conviction about their insidious and heinous acts and behaviors that they participate in behind closed doors, by the way? Maybe the pastor don't know about it. Maybe the prayer lady don't know. Maybe the choir director don't know nothing about it. Maybe the deacon, you know what I'm saying, is blind to it. See, this is why we got to get over fanning humans this way, because they're flawed like the rest of us. So, if they're so afraid of hell that they so passionately, notoriously talk about, how is it that they're able to participate in conspiring to physically harm people without worrying about hell? Ooh. How is it that they're comfortable and not worried about their hell seat? You see, if they're so worried about hell, how is it that they're comfortable with doing unjust things to children, disabled community, innocent lives, if they're so worried about hell? Do they not think that those acts are going to get them in the hell seat in which they talk about? I'm provoking people, I know. Because all that stuff sounds good. And please, again, take all this with balance. All that stuff sounds good. It sounds spiritual. It gets people hype. It gets, whoa, we feel, whoa, But we're talking about day-to-day life, because see, our lives as we choose to live it matters. So if they're so worried about hell, then how is it that they're comfortable with stealing inheritances from other people, forging documents, if they're so worried about hell? Yeah, this one ain't gonna be popular. Because see, all of that hoopla leaves zero accountability to one's conduct and behavior outside of what they like to use in order to terrify people. Does one's subscription get them out of needing to be held accountable to their conduct and behavior that they're choosing day in and day out to behave in, especially after they claim their subscription to what they believe? If they're so afraid of hell, why is it carelessness on how they treat other human lives to suit their own fancy, to get their own needs met, for their own selfish desire? Conspiring against other lives. If they're so worried, stalking people, gang stalking, harassing, attacking, smear campaigning, if they're so worried, planning people's deaths, hiring hitmen, trying to get people wrongfully accused and wrongfully set up, if they're so worried about hell, why is it that they're comfortable with identity theft, if they're so worried? Because see, these people, these types, they're good with this conversation in their groups. And it sounds good. I'm worried about hell. I'm worried about does your conduct fit in any of this that you're talking about? Or are you taking yourself off of the hook with some kind of a bias clause because you don't want to change? Or you feel like you're the exception to the rule, or your cruelty is justified based on your illusionary thinking? If they're so worried about hell, then how could they conspire with thugs, assault and battery? If they're so worried about hell, it's quiet. I feel the butt cheeks. Nobody wants to talk about this because, see, this is the part that's first and foremost, it's supposed to be secret. So this is the part that is hidden from the masses. And so people erroneously think, because this is the part that is hidden from the masses, that then it's not going to count against them. But surely it is. If they're so worried about hell, based on the text and the framework in which they reference and believe, so they say, then why is it that they're comfortable with being pathological liars? Especially if it says that's where they're going to end. Pathological liar. If they're so worried about hell, if they're so afraid of hell, going to hell, aiding and abetting, accessory to attempted murder, accessory to murder, if they're so worried about hell, conspiring to cover up these things, if they're so worried, Cain. See, I'm using their reference now. Where you at, Cain? Your brother's blood. Oh, see, symbolically speaking, this means many things. Murder, attempting to murder someone physically and attempting to murder someone else in every other way because of one's own insecurity, greed, envy, and jealousy. But if they're so worried and afraid, they say, then how are they okay with living that way? I'm exposing it because they're bullshitters. They're full of shit. If they were so worried, they wouldn't be able to muster up anything within them to physically harm folks just out of sheer wickedness. Not self-defense. That's another video. That's a whole nother video. You come to somebody's house for them, then it's your fault if you're the one that gets ended. If they're so afraid of hell, they say they're worried and concerned about their soul. If so, how do they sit across a table or a phone and lie straight through their teeth so they can get some money that belongs to someone else? So they can get a house that was left to someone else. If they are so worried, as they say, how are they okay with living that way? Getting people riled up and stirred up, lying and projecting, when they were supposed to be healing and aligning and protecting. If they so worried. If they're concerned about their soul and that of another, as they say, then why are they okay with living that way? Full of hatred, contempt, and disdain. If they're so afraid of hell, again, how are they comfortable with pushing drugs in their own community that's designed to kill them? But they're so concerned about their soul. But they participate in killing their own. How then? Explain to me, explain to the universe. Where does that make sense? They're so concerned. How is it that they turn a blind eye to injustice and then say, hallelujah? Living timidly, cowardly, and then try to use a statement, indeed, I am going to turn it over to God. If they're so concerned about their soul or that of another, they're so afraid of hell, then how is it they're okay every single day living that way, doing hellish things to people who didn't deserve it? Hellish things to people who are different than themselves, and this is how they justify the hell. But then they say they're concerned so they can feel spiritual, so they can feel big. If they are afraid of hell, then why are they okay living that way, being sadistic, and then going to church the next day? Stunting and smiling and profiling in every way, shouting and jumping and falling out and everything else you can think. But their souls still stink. If they are afraid, if they're so afraid of going to hell, Cain, where are you? Judah, how dare you? Saul, what's your problem? Haman, you're ridiculous. Sadducees, Pharisees, if you're so afraid of hell, then how are you able to live that way every day? Being hell, doing hellish things to people and groups, and you think because it's unseen, so you think. If they're so afraid of hell, how is it that they dwell, living a life of hell and projecting their hell everywhere they go and everything they do? Then they say, glory, glory. plotting against the widows and the orphans, but then take a picture for Instagram giving some fried chicken to a different widow and orphan. If they so afraid of hell, how is it that they live that way? Stealing, anything they can do every day. Online, looking for somebody's identity to take. Failure to go on their own journey, failure to awake. If they so worried about going to hell, why is it then they live the way they do? Day after day, arising only for mayhem. Who can I stalk today and copy and steal from to make money? Who can I set up and portray today? Who can I, where can I cause chaos and confusion so I can sit back and smile and look innocent? If they're so afraid of hell, they say, then how can they live that way? Conspiring against their own grandchildren, their own nieces and nephews, their own cousins, and then say, glory, hallelujah. Oh, the hypocrisy. Don't nobody want to hear this, I know. It's the truth anyhow. When will humans wake up and get out of the fog and the illusion of a uniform and an outfit that most of them don't live? Good afternoon. If they were so truly concerned, they wouldn't live the way they do. And we're not talking about the things in which they use to go around browbeating folks to keep them confused. We're not talking about people's personal lifestyle choices, which is their divine birthright to do. We're talking about the insidious, heinous acts that some of these folks do. Towards innocent lives that they don't like. So they say within themselves, let me create a plight. And then on another breath say they're concerned and afraid of hell today. Then how could they be comfortable with fucking living that way?